If Yellowstone National Park is on your bucket list, this episode is going to save you time, stress, and possibly a very awkward encounter with a bison. If you're planning a trip or even just Yellowstone-curious, stick around because this is going to be your realistic, no fluff, ultimate Yellowstone guide. I'll mention what to see, where to stay, when to go, what hikes are actually worth it, what wildlife you'll see, what not to do around bison, and yes, whether Yellowstone is actually about to explode. I got to visit Yellowstone in October 2023 for 3 very packed days, right after spending a few days in Grand Teton National Park. I had my dogs Molly and Provolone with me. Yes, dogs in Yellowstone. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The best part about this trip was the morning we drove in was just after the first snow of the season. In fact, they got so much snow at the higher elevations that 2 passes in the park were closed for several hours. It was also super special to me because it was 3-month-old baby Provolone's first snow, too. Now, quick reminder, if you love national parks, adventures, and learning how to actually enjoy these places instead of just being stressed the whole time, hit subscribe. I've got you. Now, let me start with this. Yellowstone is not overrated. People who say that either went at the worst possible time or they spent one afternoon driving one small part of the park. This is one of the most diverse, jaw-dropping places I've ever been. Yellowstone was the first national park in the world, established in 1872, and it sits on top of one of the most geologically active areas on the planet. What makes Yellowstone special isn't just geysers. It's the fact that in one park, you get geothermal features, canyons, mountains, waterfalls, rivers, alpine meadows, forests, and massive wildlife populations. It is absolutely in my top 3 parks if you want to see the most variety in one place. So let's get practical and talk layout. This park is huge. A lot of people think Yellowstone is the largest national park. Wrong. It's not even the second largest. In fact, there are 6 national parks larger than Yellowstone in Alaska alone. Oh, so it's the largest in the lower 48. Also wrong. That title goes to Joshua Tree. And Yellowstone is still a very impressive 2.2 million acres. The park has 2 main loops, the upper loop and the lower loop, and it has 5 entrances, north, south, east, west, and northeast. And depending on where you're coming from, you can actually plan a very logical route throughout it, instead of zigzagging like a caffeinated squirrel. In 3 packed days, we saw almost all of the park, and I did hit a lot of the short and mid-range hikes. A short trip is totally doable with good planning. So we drove in through the south entrance, coming from Grand Teton, which is an amazing way to see both parks if you can swing the time. There's 10 visitor centers and info stations throughout Yellowstone National Park. So don't worry, no matter how you get in or where you go, you'll have access to one. And fun fact, you actually drive across the Continental Divide inside Yellowstone. Casual flex by the park. Now, hopefully you're watching this on YouTube and you can see all the pictures and maps I'm showing. If you're on Spotify, make sure to check out the video too. So to give you an idea of where all the popular spots are inside the park, probably what you know Yellowstone for is Old Faithful. We'll talk more about it soon, so just for now, know it's here in Upper Geyser Basin. Just north of that is Lower Geyser Basin. Then Hayden Valley is known for its wildlife viewing and is here on the east side of the lower loop. And the other famous valley is Lamar Valley towards the northeast entrance. You may have also heard of Mammoth Hot Springs on the upper loop just inside the north entrance. And one of the prettiest places to see is the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone on the east side of the loops. The Yellowstone National Park entrance fee is $35 per vehicle, which is valid for 7 days. Or if you visit national parks even a little bit, just get the America the Beautiful Pass for $80. It pays for itself fast. And as far as cell service goes, I have Verizon and I had service in most of the park. Not everywhere, and enough that I wasn't totally off the grid.
Quick yet very important reality check. Yellowstone is massive and services are quite spread out. They're not everywhere. Bathrooms are available at major areas like Old Faithful, Canyon Village, Mammoth, and some larger trailheads. Yet you cannot assume there's just one real quick at every stop. Same goes for food and gas. There are restaurants and snack bars and gas stations inside the park, yet they're limited, seasonal, and sometimes very busy or closed earlier than you expect. So, translation, top off your gas whenever you can, bring snacks and water in the car, and never ignore a bathroom when you see one. Yellowstone does not care about the confidence you have in your bladder.
So when should you go? My trip was during the week and it was in October, so the park was way less crowded. June, July, and August can get so crowded that it's a literal traffic jam driving through. This is one of the most visited parks with 4.8 million people going in 2025. Now, Great Smoky Mountains National Park always has over 10 million, and I'm sure he stays number one most visited because of its central location. Then, all kind of tied for second after that are Zion, the Grand Canyon, and Yellowstone, with just under 5 million visitors each year. So imagine being there with so many people and taking hours to drive a few miles because someone saw a bison on the side of the road and they had to stop and take a picture for every one of the 300 bison. And if you actually want to stop and get out during the summer, may the odds be ever in your favor during the parking lot Hunger Games. This park doesn't have a shuttle service like Zion and Acadia do. So by now, you can guess what time of year I don't recommend going. Back though to my ideal time. October is absolute magic. You get way fewer people, cooler daytime temps that are actually pleasant for hiking. There's peak wildlife activity, especially during the elk rut, which is wild to witness. And snow is possible, but it's usually manageable early in the month. We had way less traffic and it changed the entire experience. Watching baby provolone experience snow for the first time, core memory unlocked. Now, the trade offs for visiting in the fall is some roads and services can start closing in October. Almost all the campgrounds close for the season in September or October, and weather can turn quickly, so flexibility is key. However, if you're okay layering up and pivoting plans slightly, fall is elite. Spring is kind of Yellowstone's slightly chaotic season. The roads start reopening, there's fewer crowds than summer, and the waterfalls are raging from the snow melt. And the wildlife activity is high. Bears are coming out of hibernation, babies are being born. And that being said, the weather is unpredictable in the most disrespectful way. Snow can still close roads, and some areas, lodging and campgrounds, may still be closed for the season. Spring is incredible if your main goal is wildlife and you don't mind uncertainty. Just don't expect a fully open park yet. Okay, let's talk about summer. Everything is open. All roads, lodges, campgrounds, and services are running. There's great weather in Wyoming this time of year and longer daylight hours to pack in the activities. However, like I said before, crowds, traffic, and chaos. Parking lots fill early, there are wildlife jams everywhere, and you will wait a lot. If summer is the only time you can go, it's still Yellowstone. It's still amazing. And go in knowing that patience is part of the experience. Early mornings and late evenings are your friend here. Winter Yellowstone is stunning. The snow-covered landscapes look unreal and there are very few visitors. There's also unique experiences like snow coach and snowmobile access and incredible wildlife viewing against the snow. You're way more likely to spot a wolf running through a field of snow than in the grass. That being said, there's also very limited access. Most roads are closed to regular vehicles. You need planning, gear, and patience. So this is not ideal for a first-time quick hit trip. Winter is best if you're intentionally planning a winter Yellowstone experience, not just seeing what happens. In fact, as I record this episode in late January, I can see almost all of the roads in the park are closed. On the NPS website, it says most roads are closed to prepare for commercially guided snow coach and snowmobile travel during the winter season, which will begin December 15th, weather depending. The road between the north and northeast entrances is the only road open year-round to regular vehicles. Bottom line, if you want fewer crowds, more wildlife, and a calmer, more immersive experience, fall wins. If you want everything open and don't mind people, summer works. If you want wildlife chaos and drama, spring delivers. And if you want a snow globe and solitude, winter is unmatched. Yellowstone is one of those parks where when you go, completely changes the park you experience. Now, Yellowstone shines with short to mid-range hikes that deliver big views without destroying your legs. There are over 900 miles of hiking trails and boardwalks, and it's home to over 10,000 hydrothermal features, more geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles than anywhere else on Earth. A lot of those are concentrated into distinct geyser basins and thermal areas, each with a totally different vibe. Let's break down the major areas I've checked out and why they're worth your time. First is Upper Geyser Basin. Think of this as the greatest hits of Yellowstone's geothermal world. There's over 400 geysers, colorful pools, steam vents, and boardwalks in easy walking range. You don't have to hike miles to get big rewards. And Old Faithful is here. This is the most famous geyser in the park for a reason. It erupts reliably every 45 minutes to 2 hours, shooting water and steam up into the sky in a 2 to 5 minute show you can pretty much count on catching. In fact, they have a sign out front and inside the visitor center right there that estimates the next few eruptions. You can actually check out the estimated schedule of a lot of geysers on the NPS website as well. And there's more than just Old Faithful and Upper Geyser Basin. One of my favorites is Beehive Geyser, a big dramatic one that can shoot water 150 to 200 feet tall. Then there's Riverside Geyser, a gorgeous one that arches water over the Firehole River and sometimes throws rainbows. Don't miss Chromatic Pool and Beauty Pool. They're deep, jewel-toned hot springs that change color based on heat and minerals. And walk the 15 plus miles of trails and boardwalk loops, and you'll see why this basin truly feels like Yellowstone's geothermal epicenter. Just north of the Upper Geyser Basin is the Lower Geyser Basin, with a less polished, down-to-earth thermal vibe. You'll see boiling mud pots, hissing fumaroles, and colorful pools here, all easily accessible with short strolls and boardwalk trails. One of my favorites is the Fountain Paint Pot Trail. It's a half-mile boardwalk loop that feels like the greatest hits of thermal features. Hot springs, mud pots, steam vents, and geysers all in one compact circuit. The mud pots bubble and plop like a weirdly cute science experiment, and the colors you'll see come from minerals and tiny heat-loving microbes. They range from rust orange to sulfur yellow. Head out early or late in the day for better light on the textures and the colors. And there's also Fountain Geyser. It doesn't have a rigid schedule, but when it erupts, sometimes shooting up to 50 feet in the air, it's a blast to watch, and it's less crowded than Old Faithful. West Thumb Geyser Basin is one of my favorite surprises. It's totally unique because the geothermal features are sitting right on the shore of Yellowstone Lake instead of inland. It's basically one main, not quite 1 mile boardwalk that hugs the lake, and you get Fishing Cone, which is an old geyser that once erupted right out of the lake, and it was used by fishermen to cook their catch. Yes, that is actually true. There's Abyss Pool, which is a deep, vivid blue hot spring that looks like something from an art palette. And the paint pots, colorful little mud pots and pools that feel more whimsical than dramatic. This basin isn't a long trail. It's more like a short stroll. And the combination of thermal wonders and big lake energy is totally worth it. Now, Norris Geyser Basin is the raw, untamed cousin of the other basins. It's the hottest, the oldest, and the most dynamic thermal area in the whole park. First, you'll notice Steamboat Geyser, the world's tallest active geyser capable of blasting water and steam 300 to 400 feet in the air during a big eruption. Then there's Porcelain Basin, a stark, almost otherworldly landscape with steaming vents and bleached rock. And Back Basin Trail. It's a slightly longer walk, about 1.5 miles, and takes you deeper into the heat and leads you right into quieter, more forested parts of Norris where the drama continues. Norris is one of those places where the features literally change day to day because of shifting underground water and seismic activity. That means you'll never quite see the same thing twice. Just remember though, boardwalk etiquette isn't optional here. These features are fragile and ridiculously hot, so stay on the path. If you pull a dumb tourist move and burn yourself by touching or walking on the earth, you will not get sympathy from me. Now, if you think Yellowstone is just geysers and mud pots, you haven't seen Mammoth Hot Springs. These terraces are like a giant staircase of mineral deposits created by hot water cooling and leaving behind limestone, called travertine, in all kinds of shapes and colors. This area feels totally different from the other basins because it's less steam and more sculptural, like nature's stone staircase. You'll see colors from algae and thermophiles living in the warm waters, giving everything shades of orange, brown, white, and green. The boardwalks take you up and down the terraces, and make sure not to miss Liberty Cap or Pallet Spring. This area features over 10 trails and boardwalks ranging from 1 mile to 11. Beaver Ponds Trail is a very scenic and wildlife-rich 5-mile loop. And if you're looking for something a little bit more legit, check out the 11-mile Sepulcher Mountain Trail up to the 9,652-foot summit.
Something that sneaks up on people here is altitude. Yellowstone sits around 7,000 to 8,000 feet in elevation, which means even short or easy hikes can feel much harder, especially if you're coming from sea level like me. You might feel more tired, a little out of breath, or dehydrated faster than usual, and that's totally normal. Drink more water than you think you need, pace yourself, and don't stack too many hikes into one day. Yellowstone is not the place to prove anything. It's the place to enjoy the scenery without the headache.
Now for something totally different, the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. This canyon is massive, about 20 miles long and up to 1,200 feet deep. And those colors, you'll see reds, yellows, and pinks in the rock walls carved by the Yellowstone River over thousands of years. The stars of the show here are the two waterfalls. Lower Falls, a staggering 308-foot drop, and Upper Falls, which is still impressive at 109 feet. Artist Point is the classic lookout. It's postcard perfect and totally worth the stop. There's also Canyon Village here where you can take a breather, grab a snack, and check out the educational displays at the visitor center while you digest what you just saw in the canyon. The last and not least is Mud Volcano. This area feels alive. It's loud, bubbling, fizzing, and yes, smelly because you're walking through acidic mud pots and vents created by steam and volcanic gases breaking down rock. Highlights here include Dragon's Mouth Spring, where steam and water roar out of a cave-like opening. There's also Mud Volcano and Black Dragon's Cauldron, which are bubbling acidic mud pots that look like someone stirred the earth with a giant spoon. And Grizzly Fumarole is a steamy vent with constant activity. This area is short to explore, but memorable because it's different from the clean boardwalk loops elsewhere. The two main trails here total about 1 mile.
Now, one feature that's kind of off on its own is Grand Prismatic Spring. It's the largest hot spring in the United States and the third largest in the world. And yes, it really is that colorful in person. It's located in the Midway Geyser Basin between the upper and lower geyser basins. It gets its rainbow colors from heat-loving bacteria that thrive at different temperatures. The spring is around 370 feet wide. It's hotter than boiling in the center, and it's constantly steaming, which is why it can look totally different depending on weather and the time of the day. Pro tip, the best views are actually from the Fairy Falls overlook, which lets you see the full color pattern instead of just the edge from the boardwalk.
Okay, we got the activities covered. Now let's talk where to stay. The Old Faithful Inn is the classic Yellowstone lodging. It's a National Historic Landmark built in 1903 with soaring log beams and a massive stone fireplace right in the lobby. It sits just steps from Old Faithful Geyser, so you can watch eruptions right from your stay. Open seasonally from early May through mid-October, rooms range widely in price and fill up early due to how iconic and central the inn is. It's rustic and charming rather than high-tech, so no TVs or AC, which is part of the experience. This place feels like Yellowstone history you can sleep in. Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel is one of the longest open lodges in the park, welcoming guests from spring through parts of winter with hot tub cabins available year-round. Located near the north entrance and terraces, it's great for historic vibes and wildlife viewing, especially in Lamar Valley. There are standard rooms, suites, and cabins with hot tubs, plus a restaurant and lounge on site. Its extended season gives you more flexibility if you're visiting on the shoulder months. Canyon Lodge is the largest lodging complex in the park, centrally located near the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Perfect for exploring both loops. It has both hotel rooms and cabin units, plus restaurants, a deli, and a store. Open mid-May through late October, it's a practical and comfortable base with modern amenities and proximity to world-class scenery. Prices vary by room type and season, but it's generally more affordable than the historic lodges. If you're cool roughing it, Yellowstone's campgrounds open seasonally, typically May through September, October, and include sections like Madison, Canyon, Bridge Bay, and the full hookup Fishing Bridge RV Park. Prices are budget friendly compared to the lodges, and the amenities vary. Some have RV hookups, potable water, toilets, and dump stations. Mammoth Campground is the one National Park Service campsite open year-round. The campgrounds book up fast, though, so reservations well in advance are key. When I visited in 2023, I brought my dogs in the RV. I loved staying at Buffalo Crossing RV Park the first night just outside the park in West Yellowstone, Montana. Buffalo Crossing is a newer, modern RV park just minutes from the west entrance of Yellowstone. It's open spring through fall and offers full hookups, showers, laundry, and pet friendly areas. Rates are usually in the $80 to $100 per night range, depending on timing. This is an excellent choice if you want to be close to restaurants, shops, and the geyser basins. The next 2 nights, we were at Yellowstone RV Park in Gardner, Montana. It's located right along the Yellowstone River, just outside the north entrance, which makes it super convenient for Mammoth Hot Springs and Lamar Valley. It's open seasonally from May through mid-October and offers full hookups, showers, laundry, Wi-Fi, and easy access to town. Prices typically fall in the 70s to 90s per night, depending on the season and the site. It's a great option if you want quick park access with solid amenities and river views. We watch the elk graze from our site each evening. Speaking of, wildlife is one of the biggest reasons people visit Yellowstone. And yes, you will see animals, and I mean real National Geographic level stuff. You can expect to see bison everywhere, along with elk, deer, and if you're lucky, bighorn sheep and pronghorn. And if you're luckier and very patient, maybe wolves, bears, and a moose too. We saw a ton of elk, including 2 massive males fighting and another one casually showing off his harem. I was so excited to see a family of bighorn sheep and even a moose with her calf standing in a creek. Wildlife is especially active in the early mornings and the evenings, and fall is extra dramatic thanks to the elk rut. Now let's talk safety, especially bison. People worry about bears when they should actually worry more about the bison. This is not a petting zoo, so always keep your distance, especially from these guys. The bison injure more people in Yellowstone than any other animal because people do not respect them. They are massive, fast, and unpredictable. So rule of thumb, stay at least 25 yards away, and if a bison looks at you and you think, am I too close? You are.
Now, no matter what time of year you visit, there are always a few things you should bring with you to Yellowstone. One, binoculars for wildlife viewing. Two, bear spray for hikes. Of course, a lightweight day pack and a refillable water bottle because the altitude and the dry air are no joke there. Layers are obviously essential. Think a packable jacket or fleece plus comfortable walking or hiking shoes with good grip. Add sun protection like a hat, sunglasses, and sunscreen. Add your phone charger or a car charger, and always have some snacks that you can keep in the car with you. And even just an offline map like on All Trails or the Park Guide, those come in clutch whenever you lose cell service. These aren't just nice to haves, they're the things that make the difference between a smooth trip and a very long day. I linked a Yellowstone packing list on Amazon in the show notes so you don't have to overthink it. It's got all the essentials in one spot, and if you grab anything through those links, it helps support the podcast at no extra cost to you. Easy win.
Okay, it's Mythbuster time. Let's address the internet's favorite question. Is Yellowstone going to erupt? Short answer, no. Long answer, scientists monitor Yellowstone constantly. There is no indication of an imminent mega eruption. The park experiences normal geothermal activity, which is exactly why it exists. Okay, pet parents, lean in. Yes, you can bring dogs to Yellowstone, and there are rules. Pets are allowed in developed areas, campgrounds, parking lots, and within 100 feet of roads. However, there's no pets on hiking trails, boardwalks, or in the backcountry. It's too dangerous for both them and the wildlife. That said, I still had an amazing trip with Molly and Provolone by planning smart. I would tire them out with walks in pet-friendly areas and then leave them in the RV when I did parts that were in a no-pet zone. So bottom line here, y'all, Yellowstone is wild, beautiful, diverse, humbling, and absolutely worth the trip. If you're dreaming of visiting, save this episode. If you're already planning, rewatch it. And if you love national parks and adventures like this, subscribe because this is exactly what we do here. That's it for today's episode. Have you been to Yellowstone and want to share your suggestions? I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at the.great.escape.podcast and send me a message. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that you can follow along and dream big for your journeys on the Great Escape. See you next time, adventurers.